Hi there, my name is Zach, and I'm a bot builder here at KLaunch, and today I'll be showing you how to use flags and conversions within your bots. Now, conversions and flags, they're both tracking methods, and they're used differently, but they're also sort of similar in a way if you think about it, and I'll explain what they both mean sort of briefly right now. So conversions are something that you use, or at least you interact with on a daily basis. An example would be every time you visit a website, you're triggering a conversion and you click some link or you download some file, you're almost certainly triggering a conversion. Or if you scan a QR code, you're going to be triggering a conversion. You click a link in a marketing email, that's a conversion. So think of conversions as counting actions and how many times they take place. And they're usually associated with certain users. So you can see how many times a specific user triggered something, but they're very frequently used as an aggregate to see what your users are doing. And this informs you as to maybe how you can improve things or maybe what people are most interested in. And the flip side of that is flags. So flags are more so used like a label to say, you can use them like conversions where you can say what a user has done, but you can also use them to determine what a user is. For example, you could say a user is a donor, and that can decide the logic that a bot follows. Or you can use a flag to decide which users get a certain message. We use flags in several ways in KBot. They're actually they're very simple when you look at them, but they can be used in so many ways. So it's important to understand the various ways we can use them. But we're going to start with conversions because they're a little bit simpler to understand initially. So let's start with creating them. We'll go to settings, advanced, conversions, and then you see a conversion table here. So right now I've got new user and returning user active, and you see we have the dates they were created as well. And you can also create your conversions. So conversion, let's call it real conversion, right? And let's fix my spelling, real conversion, add conversion. And then I've got my conversion here. So now let's talk about this deactivate. I click it, my conversion goes away, right? But I can see all of them if I uncheck this box. And you can see this is the last conversion I made. So conversions are either active or deactivated. You cannot delete them. They exist with your account as long as your account exists. So you want to not only be intentional about when you create conversions, but more than anything, you want to ensure conversions are always, in our case, we don't want to delete them because we want to ensure they're always traceable. And if you were to delete a conversion, then you lose that data associated with the conversion. So that's why we never delete conversions, but that's also why you can get rid of or hide the ones you don't want to see. Because it's inevitable that you're going to create a conversion that you actually didn't realize you didn't really want, or maybe isn't quite descriptive enough, but that's okay. You can create more conversions. You can always make more conversions. Let's go back here. I want to actually activate completed bot and clicked link in bot. And so now I've got these 4 very specific conversions here I want to use. Now notice these are all pretty well targeted to what they're doing. They're tracking new users, returning users, completed bot, and a clicked link in bot. The whole point here is that my conversions are named in such a way that I know what they're tracking. Even if you still have to do some investigation when you're reporting on this data, it's better that it's not just named, for example, real conversion. Who knows what a real conversion means? I sure don't. And whoever's reporting on this data also won't know what it means. So I would highly recommend being intentional about the way you name conversions because it's going to save you in the future, or it's going to save your coworker who's pulling this data report. So great. Now we understand how to make conversions, deactivate, activate. We understand where they are. So now let's look at adding conversions to your bot. Now I'm going to hop in this bot, which I prepared earlier, and we're going to add some conversions. So first and foremost, understand conversions can be added to every single one of these nodes. It's completely irrelevant which node you're using. They're all able to track conversions. And I'll show you how to do that. So if you click on your node, you can click Show Advanced and select a conversion goal. So in this case, I have a new user message. Hi there, thanks for opting in. And a welcome back message. Welcome back to our interactive messaging stream. So I'm going to use my new user conversion up here. So I'm just going to type in, I'm going to go down here to the dropdown and type in new, and you'll see new user. I can also just click it if I see it, returning user, click it, boom. Pretty simple, pretty easy to apply these. Now, the only special case is going to be tracking this link. Links require a bit of a special setup in your account where we integrate with a service called short.io, which converts links into short links. And by having the short link, we're able to track every time someone clicks it, because we really can't track google.com's conversions. They're not going to just tell us what's happening for them, because there's other ways we can track it ourselves. So if you did want to track a link click, we can select a conversion goal name, click link in bot, and we can check this box. Conversion only occurs when the user clicks a link or button on the message. Now, once again, this is only going to work if you have your account set up with short.io. We're more than happy to set it up for you with our own account. All the links would be stylized as link.klaunch.io in that case, but you can also set up your own short.io account with an API key and a link and put it on KBot. It works just the same because we integrate directly with short.io. So now we've got all of our conversions set up on each message and we're tracking. So great. Where does that data go? Well, we're going to hop over to my other tab and go to analytics. And you're going to see, if we choose our chatbot, there's this conversions tab. Now, let me just say, there is a whole analytics video that goes over all the facets of this page because there's a lot to take in. But this video is only going to go over the conversions aspect. So bear that in mind. Now you can see how many times each conversion happened for each user or each situation, essentially. So you can see this happened once, completed bot happened once as well, returning user happened twice. These are just examples. They might not make sense because they're just examples. But you can see if you click on here, you get a nice chat preview and you can understand when the conversion was triggered, and you can even just go straight to the chat message if you want. Now you can also download your conversions if you're interested in doing some data reporting. So all you have to do is click here, and then it will show up in your notifications tray. Your conversion export is ready. And I actually downloaded this earlier. And it's a pretty simple file. It just has 4 columns: conversion name, bot name, user ID, and the timestamp. So this user ID is what you can use to join on different users within KBot. And then the rest of these you can use to determine what bot they're using, obviously, and which conversion fired. But it's just raw data. You can use this however you please, but it is there for those that are looking to do a more involved reporting. So now we understand how to make conversions, how to add them to your bots, and where that reporting goes. Let's just look at a live example because I think it'll help you see the way they are used. Now, this is kind of not a huge account, but it does send messages out rather frequently. They send messages out to their new employees basically every week, and their current employees can also text in. But all these conversions are tracking the different actions you can take within the bot that we send out, or can be opted into as well. So you can see ADP Workflow Access has 19 occurrences. Each one has its occurrences, of course. And there's a lot more than the other account I just showed you. Now, I'm not going to click any of these too deeply because there is personal information involved, which I do not want to show you, but it is here. So there we go. We understand conversions. Let's move on to flags. So flags are sort of a cornerstone of KBot, I would say. They let us really control the flow of our bots and let us understand, or let us guide our users in a journey that's a little bit more experiential, a little bit more not human, but human feeling, because it can take into account everything a user has provided before or done before in other bots. So let's first just look at the hardest way to create a flag. And that way is under settings, advanced, and then this flags and roles is the first thing that comes up. So from here, you can make your flag. I'll call it example flag, right? And I can also have an example description. And there you go. Now, we don't really create flags here much because it's kind of out of the way from making the bot, which is where we usually make flags directly within the bot. But it is here, and you can have descriptions easily available here. You see you can update them as well. But you can also delete flags, which is great because flags are something that sometimes you create a lot of them and you realize you don't need half of them. So you can just come in and delete them here to sort of get rid of some of the clutter in your system. But you need to remember that when you delete a flag, it gets deleted from every bot as well, and it can severely brick the functionality of your bots. So be careful there. Now, I will show you the easy way to make flags, and this is really, I should say, the normal way, is that you can go into your nodes here, and you can click this add flag button, and you can just start typing. So new flag, hit enter, it creates my new flag for me, and I can use it anywhere else. So if I add flag, new flag is here. So let's just shift this whole bot over to the rest of the logic. Now, this logic is just a flag condition, which checks for the existence of a flag. And this is the primary way, or at least one of the primary ways that we use flags. This little box might look simple on the surface, but we can use it in so many ways, it's crazy. It's very useful. But in our case, we're using it to detect a new user versus a returning user. So a new user is not going to have the returning user flag. Hopefully that's obvious. And they're going to follow the default path, which is what happens when they don't have any of these conditions met. So they're going to have all of these messages get hit and not this one. So in this case, I want to add the returning user flag right here at the start of the bot. And I will add it via this add flag button, returning user. So now all new users follow the new user path and get the returning user flag, so that when they text in next time, they end up in the returning user section. I'll show you just here as well. You can see we have all our flags here, and you can route them however you please. But keep in mind in this box, it is going from top to bottom. So sometimes you might need to be specific about which flags take precedence over the other to control the flow. But that is kind of the purpose of flags, is controlling the flow. If you have any experience with programming or even Excel or scripting, it's really just an if statement. It's checking if something is true, do this, otherwise follow the default path and do this. And from that very simple logic, you can get a lot of different structures, I suppose. So let's look at an example of one of those structures. This is a bot which I want to show you 2 or 3 things in. And it kind of uses flags in a different way than I just showed you, but also a very similar way. So this bot is checking for the existence of certain user profile fields. So first name, last name, email. If they have a valid value, they just follow these paths. But if one of them doesn't have a valid value, or valid value meaning any value in this case, we're going to apply this flag. Needs first name, needs last name, needs email. So now each flag can determine what data is already on this user's account, which can then let the bot know how to treat them going forward. So right here is the first example. If they have any of these flags, then we actually have a message here that's written out to say, hey, we're going to have to ask you a few questions just to let you know. But if they don't have any of these flags, meaning they have all the information we need, then we're not going to ask them any questions. Now, it might be important to understand now, this bot is for a certain food bank. It's for when users are having trouble using the text solution and they need to get in touch with a person to help them. A lot of the user base is a little bit older, so they tend to need a little bit more help. So that's why there's agents on call. Now I'll show you another example of the returning versus new user. We have 2 sets of using this HD Neubot user flag to determine new versus returning. And that's because we're using operating hours here between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. But again, you can just see this is the new user message, hi there. And the returning user message is welcome back. It's that simple, but it just makes the difference of the user feeling like they're being recognized as, hey, I've done this before, right? But then after that message, every user ends up with this HD Neubot user flag. So anyone that arrives at this point is also going to get to this, and they're going to get the flag. And then we can recognize that they've been here before, right? Now, finally, the last thing I'll show you with flags is a more complicated use case. So this is actually a loop, and I'm using each of these flags as a condition for continuing the loop. So if any of these exist, we are going to ask for whichever one it is. So if they need the first name, we're going to follow this pathway, and we're going to ask for the first name, right? So they're going to provide it. and I'm going to delete the needs first name flag. And like I said, we're going to follow the path. It's in a loop. We come back around. So they don't have needs first name, but they do have needs last name. Well, ask for last name, and then we delete the needs last name flag, right? Come back around, needs email, ask for the email, and delete the needs email flag. So this is an example of what you could consider a while loop, or maybe a for loop, depending on what you like. You could really consider it in any way you want, because all it is just if statements that are going in a circle. And this is just a very powerful example of flags. And of course, you can use them to your heart's content. You can combine these flag condition nodes. You can check for several flags. You can have all these different conditions. But flags are just a core concept of KBot, and they will get you so far if you understand how to use them. Especially in a structure like this, you can get a lot more done with fewer nodes if you can use flags to your advantage. So I'll pop back over here for now. That kind of concludes my conversions and flags video. Now, keep in mind, there's tons of other videos around for training right now on our website that are going to give you way more information about things like analytics and chats that I couldn't quite cover. But be sure to check those out to get a better understanding. And yeah, I hope you enjoy using our platform. And of course, reach out to us if you have any questions, and have a great day.